Magic is nothing but a showcase of illusions. And when some of the world's greatest talents come on stage, it becomes quite an experience. But the truth is, it is still magic even if you know how it's done. So, be it Simon Pierro's amazing screen magic or the famous quick change act. Hello and welcome back, and today we are gonna unlock some of the greatest magic secrets of Got Talent shows. So, let's get started. The first trick, Simon Pierro's iPad magic. With multi-million hits on various platforms, the German magician Simon Pierro brings a blend of technology and magic you've never seen before. Known as the world's first iPad magician, he even uses specially designed apps to perform his unique illusions. And in this video, we'll take a look at his most famous digital magic performed on Turkey's Got Talent show. Here's what he did. He brings an iPad along with him and starts performing a range of mesmerizing tricks. First, he shows a tennis ball on the screen, zooms it to full size, and brings that ball from inside the tablet into his hand. He then again goes on to pass that tennis ball in and out of the screen of his tablet, leaving everyone scratching their heads. Moving on to the next part, he calls his friend on FaceTime and pours a glass of milk over his friend's head, all through FaceTime. And finally, he goes on to perform the famous beer magic, in which he fits a drinking tap onto the screen and calls upon a person to collect and drink the beer, all of which comes from inside the screen. So, how did he perfect all of this stuff? Well, let's look again to figure out the secret. First of all, one thing is common in all of his tricks. The long-sleeved shirt is where he gets all of his stuff from. And you must have seen many magicians wearing full-sleeved shirts for this exact reason. Also, Simon is very smart and exceptionally good at pulling things out of his sleeves using only his single hand. So, there are two things we need to carefully look at: the iPad screen and his hands. To bring something out of the screen, he uses a few principles of magic. One is called palming, which conceals a small object in his hand as part of his trick. And the other one is called ditching, which is the action of getting rid of or giving up something. And to disappear or move something on the screen, he has specially developed iOS applications pre-installed in the device, especially for the tricks he's going to perform. Now, with all of the above concepts cleared, we'll one by one look at the tricks. For the first one, how did Simon make that tennis ball look real? Well, there was a tennis ball already hidden inside of his left sleeve, which he must have placed sometime during the off-camera moment. And to pull off the trick, he uses a virtually invisible device known as a gecko, which lets him appear and vanish virtually any item produced from his sleeve. So the gecko device, combined with his sleight of hand skills, makes this trick look quite perfect. Now, coming to the part where he pours a glass of milk on his pal's head all through the screen. How is that possible? For this trick, Simon uses a glass that has a smaller glass fitted inside it, which you can clearly see here. Also, the milk, which is visible and seems to be full, is present only in that smaller glass placed inside. Now, when Simon pours the milk only travels from the inner glass into the gap between the inner and outer glass, which creates the illusion of the milk being poured and the glass getting empty. But now you know it, nothing goes out. The milk is still inside the gap between the glasses, and the stuff that happens on the screen is all pre-planned. Now, coming to the final part, how did the beer come out of the screen? Well, that's a simple one. There's a tube that comes out of his right sleeve and is hidden between his palms and the iPad. Also, the tube is connected to a bag filled with liquid, which he must have placed somewhere in his right side pocket. Also, if we slow down the video, you can clearly see the tube coming out of his sleeve and him holding it at the top of the tap. And now the beer comes out of the screen, making this trick look quite amazing. The second trick, the quick change magic act. Now the trick which many of our viewers wanted to be revealed for quite some time. Their wait is finally over as we're gonna reveal the famous quick change magic act. But first, let's look at the trick. In various talent shows around the world, magicians have been performing this entertaining act where they reveal a variety of clothes in a matter of seconds. Here you can see a beautiful girl and how she goes about performing this amazing trick with quite ease. She comes on stage and instantly changes her clothes, using a variety of different props and settings. So, how does she do it? Well, before revealing the secret, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you get instant notifications of our new video uploads. Now, here's the secret. The act requires a lot of planning, specialized costume design, and its tailoring. But most important of all, a whole lot of practice. If you look at the performer, at the start, she seems to look quite heavy on her waist, while at the end of the trick, her waist is looking slimmer. This implies that she's wearing multiple clothes, and mostly it's the layering of one costume on top of the other. And in this frame, you can even see some part of her blue clothing which seems to be coming out underneath her black clothes. Now, coming back to how her costume is designed, they are in fact known as tearaway clothes. They look like any regular clothes from the front, but in the back there are usually snaps or Velcro sewn into the side seams, and sometimes several pieces of the clothes sewn together. So, what looks like several layers of different types of clothes are actually one solid piece rigged in a particular way, and that whole thing is torn away in an instant to reveal the underlying layer. Now, coming back to the trick, she's wearing a different colored suit, for example, a 3-piece suit or a 1-piece suit made into a single layer that can be ripped off in a second, behind different types of props. So when she hides herself behind a raised curtain, or a circular curtain, or the umbrella prop, what she does is simply releases the Velcro each time she reveals a costume. This makes the costume being thrown onto the ground, and she then hides that costume by a curtain or any prop as it drops on top of her costume, and the costume underneath the suit is finally revealed. Even in the umbrella prop, if we slow it down, you can see that she's getting rid of her black costume and hides it somewhere behind the umbrella. And this is what makes the quick change act look ridiculously perfect. So finally, the last and most shocking trick on our list, Kevin James's cut-in-half illusion. Kevin James, one of the most creative minds in magic, performed this shocking illusion on America's Got Talent show. Here's what he did. Dressed as a surgeon, he brings along a chainsaw as his surgical tool, which he's gonna use on his patient. Then, all of a sudden, he cuts his patient in half, splitting apart his upper and lower body. But what do we see? The patient is still alive. The surgeon then places his patient's upper body onto a surgical table. And now the real magic happens. Confirming that there's nothing in between his patient's upper body and the surgical table, he's now going to join both the separated body parts back together. So, keeping both her upper and lower bodies on a wheeled chair, he takes out some sort of a device and taps that device on the joining point just below the patient's stomach. Finally, the patient is joined together as he's seen kicking and dancing. So, how did he do it? Well, here's the secret. Let's divide the trick into two parts, the cutting part and the joining part. For cutting the patient in half, the trick is that the cut-in-half patient was already an amputated guy from the moment he came onto the stage. So he's the torso double of the person who was dancing at the end. Also, the word torso is used for people who only have a torso and no legs, maybe due to an accident or a medical condition. Now, when the surgical table was wheeled onto the stage, the lower half of the patient you see is actually another one of the doctor's assistants who has bent her upper torso in the surgical table's secret compartment. And as you know it, the torso double is the one who's placed on top of the assistant. And of course, the dancing guy and his torso double look similar. Now the surgeon cuts the body in half. There's no blood whatsoever. That's because the part of the body just above the hips is actually a special mannequin-like dress, created using baggy clothes and a few other items. So, do you see the lower half of the body walking away? Yes, because there's another person in there. And the torso guy is the one who's on that surgical table lifting himself up with his hands, making the surgeon's job easier. Now, coming to the joining part, when it was time to put the two halves back together, notice how the torso double and the lower half are wheeled behind the screen. Also, that lower half is just a leg prop made using baggy clothes or some other stuff. Now, at the back of the screen, a fully functional assistant who's dressed in the same costume as the torso guy is wheeled back in place of him. And this switch happened at exactly this moment, which is evident in the way the two halves are placed, which hides the stuff that's happening behind them. Also, the surgical mask which the patient wears plays a huge role, as it conceals the torso guy's face, which is why his replacement looked identical. Finally, using a magical device, the surgeon joins back the two halves, creating an amazing illusion. So guys, hope you got the secrets behind Got Talent's greatest magic tricks. Which trick was your favorite one? The iPad magic, the cut-in-half illusion, or the quick change act? And name us any magic trick you want us to reveal. Tell us in the comments below. Do like and share this video with your friends on social media. For more such amazing things, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. And finally, thanks for watching.